Alright, this video, honestly, is for you, Nudgy1111. It's been a long time since I listened to Phish. I don't listen to Phish hardly ever anymore. But when I was in high school, there was like a couple years where I basically exclusively only listened to Phish. They definitely had a big impact on me musically when I was younger. I've learned a lot from them. I've synthesized some things from Phish as a band, but also from Trey, and they definitely have percolated into my guitar playing, so I'm going to kind of just blast through some of those concepts. I think first and foremost, Trey taught me the power of the minor 7 chord, which at its simplest is literally just barring any fret. So if we're at the 7th fret, if you bar the entire thing, you can just put your ring finger on the 9th fret on the A string, and then you have kind of this loose right hand, and you already have like a very Trey style rhythm. And you can hammer on that A string note. And something that Trey would do all the time is he would add this 10th fret on the B string, and you can hold that A string note if you want, or just let go, and you're kind of just barring, and you have this one other note happening, and you can flat it to that 9th fret. And when you add wah to that, then you basically have the sound that he uses on a lot of songs like Tube or Black Eyed Katie, MoMA Dance, like a lot of these funk. There's this like very specific Phish style funk. I'm going to stand up and use the wah pedal just for a second so you can hear it. But if you do what I just was talking about, you get wah. That's that kind of funked out Phish sound. You kind of just, it's a super simple chord. And you just have a loose right hand, and you get some wah finesse, and there you go. Another big one is that he uses the minor 7 position. So like if we're in this 1 position, he uses this other position. So from top to bottom, it's 7, 8, 7, 9, 7. And you don't play the low E. And he hammers on. Right, and I've made a video about this chord. It's a very special chord because it kind of, depending on the context, has a major feel, it has a minor feel, it has a funk feel, it has like this deep love song feel. It's in my opinion the most versatile chord of all time. But Trey uses it a lot, like in Weekapaug Groove. It's literally those 2 chords that I just showed you. Hammer on, and you just slide down a whole step, and then you have this chord, which is just another form of a G, which I learned from Trey. And to play this form of the G, you're going to play the D, the G, and the B string, and it's 5, 7, and 8 from bottom to top. So that's basically like 3 chords, and it has this super epic jam to it. And besides Jerry, I think Trey is one of the only other guitar players that can really solo over major and do major justice. Some licks that I've learned from Trey that are very like specific to Trey, I call it the anchor lick. So if we're still at the 7th fret here, just pretend like that's going. The 7th fret on the D string, if you play the 10th fret on the B string, it's an octave, right? So if you play the D string and the B string, you can play the D string and do a half note duck and back up. So you go D, B, D, slide down, slide back up. And if you do, this is your anchor note that you're sliding back and forth. You can change what you're playing on the B string. You hear that? And you can change the order in which you're playing stuff. Like you can play 2 B notes right next to each other. And then you can, you don't have to stay on the D. You can go up to the E, or sorry, you don't have to stay on the B. You can go up to the E. It's up to you how you want to play it. You can do it on the G string. That's a lick that I learned from Trey that had a big impact on me. Let's see, what else? I feel like I had another one in there just a second ago. Okay, here's one. So I've done multiple videos on the cage system or the A system, whatever you want to call it. We have this C shape, right? The C shape. You can take that same exact thing that I was just showing you to outline the C shape of whatever chord you want. This is a G in this case. It could be an A. Right? If it's an A, I'm playing just the G, the B, and the E string here. 9th fret on the G, 10th fret on the B, and sliding back 8, 9 on the G. And then I can change what my next note is. So there's the anchor note that stays there, and then whatever note I want to go up to. Right? If I'm playing like an A arpeggio. So a lot of times in these jams, it's just taking a chord and going down a whole step, or it's going up a whole step. And so if you take that anchor lick and then slide it down a whole step, and do it in time with nice time feel, then that's like one of Trey's like signature licks. Oops. Let's see, the only other things I can talk about for Phish and Trey is that they are masters of tension and release, and I think, Trey is one of those people that can build and build and build and actually get to this climax where he starts shredding, which is a very unique skill, and I have a lot of respect for him in doing that type of thing. But some of his techniques that he uses for tension and release, I hear some other guitar players doing, but not a lot. And like one of which is like these like super bends or over bends or slide bends. It's kind of David Gilmour-y, Al Anderson of Bob Marley would do this a lot. So if we're in, let's say like D major, I'm still at the 7th fret doing a pentatonic. You kind of slide into a note and then like over bend. But Trey would like keep going and create this tension. Stuff like that, or like and then eventually like get to some peak. He'd play with the time feel, and then once you hit a downbeat, he would arrive. He would just create these tensions. And I think that's really cool. It's a good technique to use. You can have a repeating lick and build up in tension, and then land where you need to. Like if we're in C, right? getting to some big climax. I'm not really doing it justice here, but you can hear examples of it all over the place. I don't have a lot to say about Trey and Phish. I don't think I sound anything like Trey. I don't listen to much Phish anymore, but some of those concepts that I showed you, I think you'll find interesting, and I do think they are masters of modal kind of exploration. So if you haven't listened to Phish, check out the jam section to Reba, like on Halloween of '94. And then one of my favorite Rebas is New Year's of '93, 12/31/93. Check out some of the more modal stuff like Black Eyed Katie. Mike's song can get really pretty cool, pretty crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there. But this is probably going to be one of the only lessons I do on Phish. But there's a couple nuggets in here. So this one's for you, man. Specifically for you. Otherwise, if it's new concepts, hopefully it helped you. Cool. All right. Good luck.